Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Generic Football Show. So, yeah, this is the title we've kept because you can find millions of podcasts on Spotify, on Google Podcasts, but yet we went on and took the risk of launching another podcast because we believe we can give you yet something different. And for the first episode itself, we have an expert voice, a huge inspiration to me because I have admired him since I ever contacted him, maybe a year ago. We have Mr. Ashish Painse with us. He is the editor of Viva Football magazine, the I think the go-to magazine for football in India because they cover a lot from grassroots levels. They have schools, they have academies. They are reporting on them. They are also covering ISL. So basically, it's a dream for every Indian football fan, and he's a writer himself. You can catch his latest article on Maharashtra Times. It's available online as well as if you are a traditionalist, you can still read it if you have the newspapers coming to your homes. Before anything, I would just give him some space to just introduce. Yeah, I mean, you can just tell us how you have been and how you have experienced sports so far in this COVID situation. I welcome you to the show, Mr. Ashish Prince.
Yeah, hello. Hi, everybody. Basically, each one of us wish to express lot many things when it comes to football. So each one of us has huge opinions and expressions to make when we watch a match, we read a preview or we read a review kind of a thing. I heartily congratulate you guys for starting this new venture. And even though there are many such players in the market, but as I mentioned, every one of us wish to express. So sky is the limit. And as we know, all know, like football world is very much vibrant, especially with regards to recent developments of European Super League and all. But otherwise also you must have seen since last 1 year during the COVID pandemic. It's a global pandemic, but football has given a huge boost world over, not only to the sports but to industry, to economy, to geopolitical scenario. And football is been the ray of hope for whole world to get the new normal settled in and to win over this COVID. So it's my pleasure and it's my privilege. And thanks for all your kind introduction. I take it very humbly. And as I travel world over, I meet lots of national, international footballers. One thing we all should learn from them is that they are very much humble. So whether it's Alan Shearer or even Pele or Maradona, they are very much humble when it comes to football. So I kindly accept your appreciation and wish you all the very success in this footballing endeavor.
Yeah, thank you. The honor is mine, and yeah, I mean, I would love to sit down and listen to your stories for hours. Unfortunately, maybe we would be limited by the time today, but I am going to invite you again. We are going to have a different show for just your experiences because I've seen your photos with the Premier League trophy. I mean, that's a
Yeah.
dream of every football fan.
Yes, not only Premier League trophy, but since we have launched Viva Football Magazine in 2016 and then Football Pilgrimage, it's a tourism company. We travel across the world, and I'm fortunate enough to visit La Liga headquarters at Madrid and Premier League headquarters at London. So it's been huge opportunities offered by this footballing venture, and it's an open invitation to each one of us. Basically, Viva Football is an open communication and media platform for each one of us who believes and who loves in football. It's always my pleasure, and you all are invited.
Yes, yes, and as humble as you are, yeah, I think everyone should just go and check out. And the subscription is also not that costly. You can have an e-magazine every month, and you can read. It's very extensively reported. It's quite insightful, and it's basically one of the magazines and one of the forums which is actually giving justice to Indian football as well. Right. First, I everyone is now eyeing on, as you may know, the Champions League semi-final second leg
Yeah,
and Europa League second leg. So before we move on to some deeper conversation, maybe I would just like to propose a question to you actually, and we have
sure.
talked about it when we were discussing on the European Super League.
Hmm.
um, Man City and PSG are billion-dollar business owned clubs now, and yet they have failed to actually win any UCL trophy. Together, Man City has now been under Sheikh Mansour since 2009. PSG has been, I think, in similar, maybe around 2010, 11 when they were bought. Now they face the second leg. City is
Yeah.
leading. Any thoughts on why these such huge clubs have invested about 200, 300 million per transfer window still find it difficult to win the coveted UCL?
Yeah, in fact, that's the beauty of football. So you must have seen Ajax a few seasons back, and they storm into the semi-final, then final. And there are a lot many inspirational stories in football. And just money can't buy you the trophies, right?
Yeah,
So of course, money and the players you buy through money, power, and everything that helps in raising standard of your club. Real Madrid is the best example of the monetary power and footballing skills power. So that's the best combination. Barcelona or Manchester United in a few seasons back useful in getting trophies. A very small example I would like to quote here is that without disrespecting anybody, you must be remembering Bharat FC. That's our
yeah,
very own footballing club, which entered into I League as a corporate entry a few years back. So earlier it was Pune FC, but then Bharat FC entered following DSK Shivajians. So
yes,
Bharat FC was owned by Kalyani or Bharat Forge, and they have a huge connection with Europe through their businesses, and funds were not the problem. But again, they have to wind it up so as I was mentioning, that doing right things and very small things but doing it in a perfect way, like Bangalore FC have demonstrated that, and winning 6 trophies in 6 years. As I mentioned, my very good friend Mr. Mandar Tamani, who was CTO at Bangalore FC since inception. So that's the thing the European clubs also are doing. So not only money, but choosing right people at right time at right places is very important. Coming back to tonight Champions League semifinals, so my heart goes with Chelsea actually. Even
mm,
though Real Madrid, like, it's a huge club and like so legacy wise or performance wise, so it's a Dada club as we say.
mm,
But Chelsea in recent time they are playing a very enterprising football, and it's good for football that such kind of enterprising football is also winning the games. Otherwise they are always on the losing side, and it's like they are like a best losers, and the consolation prize goes to them. But it's an inspirational stories that comes up through such victories. And certainly Chelsea is riding such kind of a form this year, and even though at Premier League playing some beautiful game. So that's why I think Chelsea has a moment and like a
yeah,
momentum with
yeah,
them, and they have a slight edge over Madrid. The
yes,
other game is like Clash of Titans or a clash of big bulls, as you have mentioned. Like
mm,
they are investing huge money. They have great players. But the only thing I worry is that Manchester City doesn't have a renowned striker, number 9 or number 10. at their disposal. They have Foden doing great, or Mahrez from the right wing, or De Bruyne from the center, striking at the goal, and like goals galore with them in the English Premier League, but they don't have a prominent striker at their front line. So that would be a decisive factor, I feel. And holding Mbappe and Neymar for 90 minutes is another critical issue, even though their defense is playing very steady. But one slip of movement, or a ball, or a positioning can cost them dearly. So that's why it's very enterprising and entertaining match we hope to have. Last year, PSG was in the final, so they desperately need that Champions Trophy, and that's the beauty of this knockout second leg round. That it's all out games, and it's like 50-50 as far as City and PSG is concerned. But Chelsea Madrid, I would go 60-40 in Chelsea's favor.
Okay, yeah, I think that's a very good point that City do not have a striker right now. And
Yeah,
interestingly, again, Pochettino is a good manager. He has experience now all playing the final with Spurs. So I think
yeah.
this is a huge opportunity for him as well to prove, because people still tend to believe that if you are a good manager, you need at least some sort of validation with a trophy, which he doesn't have right now. But
Hmm.
I think, yeah, I think these could be two very interesting games. Right. So just now coming to your forte, which you've very much expressed your views in your article in Maharashtra Times as well. So these kind of matches, City, PSG, involving Real Madrid, Chelsea, and the so-called top 12 clubs. So these are going to have huge audiences tonight throughout the world. People are going to wake
Yeah.
up early or sleep at maybe 3 or 4 a.m. for these games. And the European Super League model was basically aiming for this exact thing, right?
See, there are two aspects to it. On the field, related with the game of football, and off the field, related to the business of football. So we will go by the latter one, the business of football. As you mentioned that they have invested millions of billions of dollars into their footballing ventures, and all these big clubs are listed on stock market, and they are like a huge private limited company. So obviously the owners, the investors are looking for the ROI. So business is concerned, they get a huge endorsement, they get huge profits out of their ventures through various channels. But at the end of the day, there is a saturation point, and there is a big demand growing, that if you are investing so much, not only in the monetary terms, but with the terms of legacy, with the terms of goodwill, and all the stardom that we are bringing into European football. And that is why European football is the best in the world, supposed to be the best in the world. Why? Because it's the number one place to play football. And all these big 12 big clubs, big B's, like of European football, they feel that because of them European football is the best. So
Mm.
they are now expecting something more, ye dil mange more kind of a thing. If you know the result of your forthcoming match, the excitement and my like giving 100% on the field diminishes. So that's why the games are becoming predictable. If there is a Galatasaray versus say Rangers match, who is going to watch that match? So
Mm.
that is the limitation basically the football is facing at the moment. And why is it so? Because I think with the start of the new millennium, the Champions League adopted the new format that is there
Mm.
currently running. So it's now 2 decades on. It has become lackluster. The excitement factor is not there anymore. So that's why they need to find some kind of other some incentive based program or schedule or format for the Champions League or European Premier Trophy. championship, and that is why they are in all these big clubs are demanding this kind of a some kind of a booster dose for their footballing ventures in Europe. Coming back on the field issues, so they are saying that people want to watch El Clasicos, people want to watch derbies. Why? Because there is a huge competitiveness in those games. So, say group stage match in the Champions League, it is not that exciting, and it doesn't bring that kind of a footballing standards. Often, club choose to play their second string squad in these group stage matches. So the excitement level has gone down, and we have seen that since these clubs are global phenomena, they are not restricted only up to Europe. So that is why they are claiming their like fan
Yeah.
base are asking for some kind of incentive.
And like rightly said, I mean, when I was just trying to again find out about European Super League, so I just remembered that the Venky's group actually acquired Blackburn Rovers in
Yeah,
2012, and
yeah,
they had a Premier League winning team, complete with legends. Alan Shearer had played there, so they had a even though Blackburn were not the top team at that moment, but they were still a team worth supporting. If like if they would have expanded, and they had a huge market in India. Basically, Indian football fans sort of completely followed Blackburn Rovers because of the Indian ownership, but they failed. Right now they're in the second division, so it's not that easy. It's not easy, but these clubs have actually made it happen. They have reached the entire world, so it's understandable that they might ask for something more. That it's difficult, but we have done it, so why not? We want to reach those kind of fans who are
yeah.
remotely
But
watching us. Yeah.
yeah, Blackburn has created the history, by the way. They had become the first Premier League club to play an exhibition football game here in Pune. So I was there to
Yes.
watch that. Salgado was there in that team. So there are so many Premier League, and they had their first squad playing here in Pune. So and they had a huge response in Pune, not just because it was owned by Venky's, but the Premier League club playing in India. That was a huge boost for Indian football fans. And with all the catalogs and pre-match coverage and their press notes and press releases and their placards being displayed at Balewadi Stadium. So it's all basically the culture of football, the English culture of football. It was amazing to watch. So I remember uh, when I gone to Old Trafford to watch
Mhm.
Manchester United game. So there were like families flocking in to watch the game from the Sir Alex Ferguson stand, and there was catalogs being sold. It was for 2.5 pounds. And I met one grandpa. So he said, from my childhood age to my now grandson's school days, we have each and every match catalog at our home. So it's such a football is followed such a passionately, and
Yes.
that kind of a culture, even though it was a Blackburn Rovers, not like top six from the Premier League, but to witness that culture brings a huge sea change into your mentality, into your the way you follow the game, the way you love the game. So in a way that would take the footballing culture to all part of the globe. Ask you one question: do you know from where maximum social media reach the English football gets from Asia? From which country?
Maybe I don't know. Maybe China or India, because I know Arsenal post in Hindi along with English in their Instagram feed. So probably maybe India could be a candidate.
Don't just go by the numbers. That's what I advocate, and all the international forums like World Football Summit or everywhere. Like, don't just judge India by only the number game. The quality also huge. So Indonesia has the
Okay.
highest penetration as far as social media is concerned for Premier League. So it's a small country. but in Asia itself there is a huge market that they have. So like these clubs are hungry to explore this market. Africa, we are forgetting Africa. But 2010 we had that it's time for Africa, Shakira dancing, and we had a World Cup in Africa. But
Yes.
after that we really haven't seen any big development into Africa as far as
Yes.
football is concerned. And so many African players play in England, play in Europe.
Yes.
So these clubs wish to give it back to the fans in Africa or globally. FIFA itself want to have football expansion 3.0 in
Hmm.
US. In 70s we had first expansion of football, like Pele and Beckenbauer, they had played in MLS, so they have their New York Stars and Chicago, and all these clubs were formed in 70s. So it phased out because there wasn't that regularly been played and followed, and US national team was also not doing well in the World Cups. 1994 USA hosted the World Cup, and again football was back in US. But again now that time also they had Jennifer JLo dancing, and so
Hmm.
many like extravaganza there along the side of football games. But again Europe was not involved in that football development.
Hmm.
So that time also the football movement that they were planning to have, it phased out. Now pre-season Manchester United and all these clubs play one small tournament in US to attract new crowds and new membership for their fan base. So the same way clubs are wishing to expand their boundaries outside Europe, and they believe that European Super League would have been a very unique platform for that.
Europa League, moving on, Europa League is not that much talked about. It is a European competition, matters to the teams who are playing there, and teams that are not in form. For example, Arsenal, United few seasons ago, Liverpool. They do try to get maximum out of this opportunity, but it's not
Yeah.
that much talked about. And since UEFA has now changed its model to the Swiss model in the from
Yeah.
2024, do you think Europa League would still carry that much importance?
Europa, again coming back to the same point, with due respect to all the clubs and the fans, basically, I feel that Europa is a consolation league. So you are kicked out of the Champions League and going empty-handed to your club. So just have one chance and just play at the winning lot in the Europe. So that's the thing, and you'll be surprised that not only here we are fans thousand miles apart, but at the heart of the London, at the Chelsea itself, the Europa League is perceived in that way. So when our football pilgrimage tour was there and Chelsea, we had gone for a stadium tour. I saw one a small poster at the ticket window. It wasn't a huge like advertisement campaign or something. It was a small poster saying that Chelsea will play a game in Europa League next day night. And again, sorry that I don't remember the name of the opposition team. It was some Czechoslovakian club. So, and the ticket was only £20. Chelsea had launched for the fans. And the manager also, they have been told to play at least three of the team stars for the Europa match. The exactly precisely you said that the team play their second squad in Europa and all that. So there are attempts to rejuvenate or to attract crowds and to have that kind of a charm into the matches of Europa League. But ultimately, it's a leftover kind of a feeling when it comes down to Europa. So
Hmm.
again, Europe is reviving and reviewing all these structures, and you mentioned the Swiss model and all that. So look, football is a very simple game. It's a ball. One ball is there, two goal posts, 22 players. You kick the ball in the goal, it's a goal. So that's the
Mhm.
simplest of the games with a very
Yeah.
simple equipments. And again, if you make it very or a very complicated, then football will go away from their fans. That's why too much of
Hmm.
technology also, the fans are not, or the players are not liking that. hockey, it's very technical game. It has become a very technical game. uh, to score a goal is not a skill anymore in hockey. To earn a penalty
Mm-hmm.
corner, that's the skill nowadays in hockey. So that's very
Mm-hmm.
technical victories that we are having into the sports now. So similarly, if you go deeper into technology and deeper into all these technicalities, may it be Swiss format or that format, it is going to go away from the fans. The charm of the tagline of the beautiful game, they are going to miss the basically heart of the game. And that is where Europe needs to play it very cautiously. I've read the details of the format which would be there in from 2024. I'm not that excited, boss. It's like means it's like up and over of my thinking capacity. I want to see
Mm-hmm.
good football. I want to see entertaining football. I want to see inspirational stories coming out of European football, and I don't see that happening. The only positive I'm taking out is knockouts, and those knockouts will be not home and away basis. So similarly, if you take Chelsea and Real Madrid game just last week, the form Chelsea were playing in the first half, they should have won 4-1 or 3-1 at least. But we all don't know. We all were surprised to see Chelsea playing at a very turtle speed in the second half. Yeah, the surprise moves made by Kante. Then they withdrew Kante, and they were lackluster in the second half. So I don't know why. Just to keep that game alive with 1-1, I don't know. It's like speculations, and we don't have any concrete proofs out of that. But otherwise, that tie would have been dead rubber going to the second leg. So that's home and away is now we should do it away now. We should have these knockouts, and the knockout excitement factor keeping alive. And neutral venue,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure this Euro 2020, the neutral venue concept they are going to implement. The Euro Cup is would be played
Mm-hmm.
more than 8 venues in Europe. So let's see neutral venue also. Let's see how exciting it would be. But otherwise, I don't see any excitement even in the new Champions League format.
Yeah, so I think it's done. Thank you for giving me the time. I had a good, very good conversation, and I would love to hear from you about your experiences as well. Another episode we can try to just understand the level of achievements you have had going into going in UK, going in Spain, also promoting the local scene in India. And I urge people to really go and subscribe to Viva Football Magazine. It's an amazing read. And I would just like to thank you for joining us. And you have been a huge support in this initiative. We feel that we can maybe also at some level, maybe in a near future, go on the grassroots, cover Indian football from the villages to the big cities, probably also cover in Mumbai, Pune, Kolkata, which is a fascinating scene. And yeah, and I know that you will always be there to support us. So thank you for giving
Yeah,
me the time.
absolutely. It's my yeah, it's my pleasure. And as I mentioned, it's all yours. Like Viva Football is your very own footballing media and footballing platform to share and care views. So it's my pleasure. Thank you.
Yes. So until next episode, we meet again. You are watching the Generic Football Show, and we will try to keep you posted and keep new episodes coming in. Yes, it's bye bye for now.